Yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. DJ Fermi here, back once again. Uh, all alone in my guild's Discord. No one's here, a bunch of pussies. No one likes to talk. Man, I have a lot of Discord servers here I could join. Whew. Some of them are rather spicy. It looks like I'm live. I'm gonna check to make sure my streams are good, so I can see the chat roll in. Because everybody loves. Last stream we had a ton of people. What the hell? This is supposed to change my friggin' thumbnail. We're not playing Italy right now. Done. Upload it. That's working over there. Saved it, allegedly. He's running away now. Pussy. World PvP Eastern King. All level 20s. Yes. It won't be long until the 60s roll up and all those little level 20 pluses are all just useless. Yeah, I'm not doing world PvP right now. Should he run away in fear? So I got a cat in my lap right now. Let's try to pick him up on the microphone purring. That'd be cute. Haha, train pathing to my advantage with the slow. Only time ever Shadow Priester can do something cool. Don't run away. Don't run away. I got a drink now. I don't know, it feels weird. So, some stuff still in the auction house. Oh, that's good. Let's see. Let's reset this. How long is it going to take me to level up? Reset that. Nobody knows how long it'll take me to level up. Probably won't even level up this session. That's how it was. I dinged last night, so. What is this? Like I'm a fifth of the way through my level here already. It's just 12%. Die already. You're making me worried. So, I'm just talking to myself. Sometimes I have a chat open. Let me turn off my own streams because I don't want to use excess bandwidth. I'll pause this one as well, but I will read chat. So everyone should type a bunch of BS in chat. Yes, cat, I don't know what you want, but just keep doing that. Try not. So this is a great spot because there's no alliance here killing me. Because this is like a 3-minute run back to my death. Okay, I've learned my lesson. Lesson 1, don't die. I spent a bunch of money on spells. I didn't even spend all of it still. There's still spell. What I mean is there's still spells left for me to buy in the city. Spell vendor. Trask, the trainer. You know the words. This guy's name is Drunk Puss. That's what I thought. Yeah, I need to download that. Holy crap. Yeah, let's try that differently. I have YouTube. YouTube's okay. How do I social science? Machine makers. Obvious song is obvious.
Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train.
Dude, these are not dropping for shit. This is a headhunter. You're supposed to drop these things. Oh, thanks for the copyrights. What do I care? I mean, oh, finally I got a necklace. How to be more productive. Well, that's great. Yep, we all know about that. Thinkery, obvious. Molten salt reactor experiment.
Molten salt reactors for the production of electrical power were studied at Oak Ridge National Laboratory from 1957 to 1960. Design studies and technological developments strongly indicated that molten salt breeder reactors operating on a thorium cycle could be developed to produce low-cost electricity and conserve our uranium resources. A reactor experiment, however, was required to demonstrate the feasibility of this unique high-temperature fluid fuel reactor concept. As a result, the United States Atomic Energy Commission in 1960 authorized the laboratory to design, construct, and operate the molten salt reactor experiment, also known as MSRE. Preliminary design of the reactor began in May 1960. Technology developed by the earlier aircraft nuclear propulsion program at the laboratory was used as a basis for designing the MSRE. The molten salt fuel for this reactor is radically different from that used in solid fuel reactors. Here, salt flows from a pipe which is heated to keep the salt molten. At 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, the salt does not react with air. It flows like water, but does not boil. The molten salt reactor experiment utilizes a fuel system which includes the reactor core, in which heat is generated. A heat exchanger for transferring heat from the fuel salt to coolant salt.
I wonder if this guy wants a res from me.
A sump-type centrifugal pump for circulating the fuel. 3 salt storage tanks, and the connecting piping.
Let's try this.
The MSRE coolant system consists of a
I'm
circulating
trying to make him
pump,
pay me a
a
gold.
salt-to-air radiator, a salt storage tank, and the connecting piping. Both systems were designed for 1300 degree Fahrenheit temperature and 50 psig pressure. MSRE is a circulating fuel,
probably never
graphite
happened
moderated,
before.
single region reactor, capable of generating 7,500 kilowatts of heat. During operation of the reactor, the fuel, which is nearly as fluid as water at the elevated temperature of 1170 degrees Fahrenheit and 20 psig, enters the flow distributor near the top of the vessel and spirals downward in turbulent flow through the space between the vessel and core can. The fuel is then directed upward in laminar flow through channels machined in graphite bars of the core matrix, where heat is generated by the fissioning of uranium-235. The fuel leaves the reactor 40 degrees hotter than it enters. A simple control system of 3 flexible control rods helps to regulate the power and temperature.
Oh God.
The fuel pump, operating at 1,200 gallons a minute, obtains its suction directly from the reactor. At maximum power, the salt, which is now 1,210 degrees Fahrenheit, is discharged by the fuel pump and flows through the primary heat exchanger and then back to the reactor.
Aren't these reactors designed to float computers?
Gaseous fission product.
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
Wow.
Okay, so we've got a complaint that we've got a warm walk-in box, and this is a convenience store. Listen to that sound. I bet you anything that we're low on refrigerant right now. That to me sounds like an expansion valve. So we're gonna jump on the roof and check out the condensing unit. I don't see any ice present. So this is my condensing unit right here. So it's running. It's an R22 unit. We're gonna open everything up. So I just shut it down, but it was definitely flashing. I like to pay attention when I take service caps off. First thing is look at this one. You want to look, just make sure that the caps have the O-rings. This one does. There's definitely some oil inside the cap, which is an indication that there is refrigerant leaking out of that, but I don't see oil around it. So the cap might be stopping it. Because once I put my gauges on here, it's going to be hard to leak check those ports. And this one doesn't have an O-ring at all. And there's definite oil around it, but there's no oil on the fitting. So we're gonna definitely not stop with that, but we're gonna check everything. So yeah, I'm just looking to see if I see anything obvious, and I don't. This one's gonna suck because it's an R22 unit, so it's gonna be a bit pricey. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and gauge up and check it out. Okay, definitely low. R22. So before I add gas to this unit, I'm gonna look for a refrigerant leak. So what's happening is the headmaster's bypassing. It's hard to say whether it's just short the winter charge or whether it's the full charge of the system. So it's kind of hard. Judging by the size of that receiver, this is going to be at least an 18-pound charge, total charge for this unit at least, if not more. So I'm going to do a quick leak check before I go any further, and then that'll determine where we're going to go with this. To do a leak check, what I'm doing is I equalized out my gauges, turned the system off, and opened up the high side and the low side, so I'm equalizing the pressures between the two. And then I'm going to go start at the EVAPs and check for leaks, anything jumping obvious. In here, you know, I'm just kind of looking for signs of oil. There's a mechanical fitting, I don't see anything. I'm looking for something obvious right now, and then we'll start getting into the nitty gritty, but I don't see any oil marks or anything on that condenser. No big oil marks on the condensing, or I mean the refrigeration lines. Nothing really in here that's jumping out and scaring me at the moment. So we're looking for a pretty good accumulation of oil, more than likely. So we'll go look at the expansion valves and the evaporators. So we're looking for obvious signs, and notice there's oil all up in there, and I can hear it. This is one that I didn't even have to get out the leak detector. It's a big old fat leak right on that.
Huh.
Big boy right back in there. They should have let me focus on that.
Let's get some snoop
So it's
on
hard
that,
to get
Troy.
it on camera, but it is leaking right in here.
There you go.
Put my fingers on. So it's a weldable leak. Put a braze joint on it. I'm just going to put a bunch of solder in here. I did inform the customer that, you know, the copper's really starting to pit out and rot away, and it's something they're going to need to consider some kind of a replacement eventually, but, you know, we're okay for now. I'm going to go ahead and put a braze joint on there, and then vacuum the unit down, change the liquid dryer. And I will also check the other coil too for leaks, but this one's so big right now that I want to get this one fixed, and then we'll go from there. You also got to be careful too when you have something this old. When you light that torch, you can create other leaks too, but we'll do our best to get them running. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I went ahead and closed the valves on my gauges. The pressures did equalize out. I'm going to go ahead and front seat the king valve on the receiver.
Drilling content. Beware.
That one has a pack in there. I'll loosen that packing up first before I go too far. There we go. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. And it is kind of leaking out the top. Okay, so the way that I have this set up, that's my liquid line down there. I've got access on the service valve on that, and then I have got my suction line open up here on the roof. So we should be purging nitrogen, and we are. There's a small nitro purge coming out of this. You may be able to hear that.
What is PewDiePie up to?
Scott the top! Florida money! The rule is simple. We're trying out something new here today. If you laugh, you will lose. Pushing boundaries on new content on this channel. Always innovating, always looking for that fresh new take on something. You laugh, you lose. No one's been bold enough to try it yet, but I am. Let's freaking do this. Why is this the funniest thing I've ever seen?
Hey, dude, I made this pretty cool meme. I wanted to show it to you. Oh, that's so funny. How'd you make it? Well, you see, first I added this really colorful background, and then this really funny cartoon of a salamander, and then this text, ask for a water cup and fill it with soda. I call it Sneaky Salamander. Oh, you want to know how to make a fresh meme? Well, let me show you. First, you take an oversaturated hallway, fill it with shadow demons, and then add some text like, me and the boys at 2 a.m. looking for beans!
I don't know if it was funny, it was just 100% accurate.
It's informative.
I shouldn't have laughed this much. You know it's gonna be funny if they put this many crying laughing emojis.
3, 2, 1. Whoa! Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? All the way. Whoa! What? No, Jesus! No, Jesus! No.
God damn it, you know it's fake, so it totally ruins it.
The straw. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
What are the coincidences that they are sitting perfectly for this shot, 3 people, and he's holding this cup like this? Because this is how you hold the cup, right? Fake! US drops nuclear bomb on Nagasaki. Japan, we were just about to surrender. This is a war crime. US, the only... Oh god. The only thing we are guilty of is being twice as awesome. Whew. Good thing I didn't laugh at that one. That could have been a problem.
Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson.
Can you believe what comes out of this man's mouth? Babies at 3 a.m. Hey, look, it's more Tyler memes. Yay. Alright, okay. Hey, look, it's Ninja.
Send me your dick pics, okay?
Moving on. Fat Jewel, Rip.
This is the fruity one they have.
Frick yeah. The fruity one. Oh, that is fat.
Whoa. Whoa.
Just a little bit. Whoa. Oh gosh. Oh geez. I ripped it too fat. I ripped too fat a one. We all been there. We've all been there. When I thought the lyrics were, I'm gonna take my horse to the hotel room. I'm gonna ride till I can't. No, oh my god. What is the lyrics then? I need a rap genius on this. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. Oh. This man will defeat Thanos. Oh god, it's endgame spoiler, guys. Be careful. Damn! Oh my god! Do people unironically find this impressive? Because that's a standard move in Bed Wars. Every somewhat experienced player should be able to. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. When mom says there's pizza rolls, but they end up being too hot. Let's go. Okay. Jesus. I watched it like 10 times. Help. It sounds like a Star Wars TIE fighter when he comes back.
Oh my god, James Charles. Whoa.
James Charles!
Oh my god, James Charles. Whoa.
No, stop. No, I'm not laughing at that. I know I chuckled.
I laughed, I lost, fuck y'all.
It wasn't that great. I bet you're wondering
fun
how
on the
my
stream.
lighting setup is so good. That's because I'm using Elgato lights, baby. I'm proud to have Elgato as sponsor because I genuinely believe in their products. They all make my life easier. And their new lights is just another great example of that. I don't even have to get up to turn on my lights. You can control it from your phone or from your desktop. You can change the
brightness, you can change the colors, you can change whether you want yellow light or white light. It's a great quality product that you can easily attach to your desk. I highly recommend checking it out. And use the link in the description to do so. That's it. Keep watching the video now.
I love you, Sonic!
Genuinely offended.
So there's 12 fish, half of them drowned. How many fish are left?
6.
There's 12 fish and half of them drowned. How many fish are left? Bro, fish don't drown.
Fishes can. No, they can. They can then drown. They can drown. Come on, what are you talking about? They drown all the time. Look at that. That's a drowned fish. You're welcome, internet. Oh yes. Perfectly cut screams. These are great. Jesus! Just cut anything at perfect timing and it's still funny. Ah! Oh, yeah.
Sounds. Bennett stopped. Did he have a technical issue? No, they were thinking of everything.
Oh, these are so great. Yay. Yes.
What's the worst Disney
Why would you
property?
scream
That's
in
so
Euro
ridiculous.
Truck Simulator?
Lloyd in Space would be the best to go to.
How about
Oh,
I found that one my
Oh, I walked right past them.
How did you do that? We got a hollow out.
Yeet!
Oh.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Screams are funny. Loud noises make me go, ha ha. Now that's a good edit. Paramount, hire this man.
Still, what's your name?
Marty McFly.
What are you about to do?
Go away.
Marty McFly? Marty, don't do it. I love these Smash edits. They're so beautiful. It's so much better than Minecraft. Come on.
Hey, CJ, I don't think this is a good idea. No. No, CJ. Oh my gosh.
Attention all units. Suspects block all major roads and observe a suspect.
You can play as Eggman in that game? Seriously? That was it for this week's Get Out the Death! Hope you guys had a fun time and laughing, smiling, and joyful day. Have a great week, and I will see you in your cute little face tomorrow.
From Philadelphia to San Francisco, pro-lifers are under attack. Not long ago, tonight,
we will see you back here.
Embrace of authoritarianism. It wasn't that long ago that liberals worried about powerful government agents.
Now they love powerful government
suddenly
agencies.
so invested in promoting creepy former bureaucrats like Clapper and Comey and Brennan. Why are they on the tube all the time? That's why. It's also why the news media became absolutely hysterical when Trump pointed out that the previous administration had spied on his presidential campaign, which they absolutely did. The press could not admit that. They had to be absolutely certain that you would never believe it.
President Trump has a new favorite word, and every time he uses it, he is
lying. And that is the word spy. His baseless claims of spies.
This is the President of the United States telling people don't believe what this federal government is doing, and that has very, very dangerous consequences.
The notion that somehow the FBI planted someone inside the campaign to spy on the campaign is just not true.
There's absolutely no evidence there was a spy.
He wants you to believe that his campaign was spied on, and it's one of the worst things that we've ever seen from government.
Yeah, it's the governor's brother. They were all lying. The people who should have been telling you the truth were hiding the truth. They were acting as willing tools to the surveillance state. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're, of course, not. Just last night, CNN held a town hall starring former FBI Director Jim Comey. It was a pure whitewash. Comey should have paid the network for shilling for him. Spying, Comey said? What an ugly word. Only the Russians spy on people. The FBI doesn't spy. It investigates.
The New York Times reported that the FBI sent an investigator posing as an assistant to meet with a Trump aide, George Papadopoulos, in 2016. Does that qualify as spying?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on a particular investigative step because that's for the Bureau to do, and I'm not in the government any longer. But the FBI doesn't spy to begin with. The FBI investigates.
The FBI investigates. Okay, Jim. And yet moments later, after telling us I'm not going to comment on current operations, Comey changes his mind. He said it was improper to comment specifically, but then he did. Why? Because he had to explain that investigating presidential campaigns is the most common thing in the world. Totally normal, in his words.
But sending an investigator undercover to meet with somebody who is connected to the campaign, they claimed he was later on just a coffee boy. That is an extreme step, no?
No, it's a reasonable... That was the guy, Papadopoulos, who was the subject of the information we got from the Australians, that he had talked to the Russians.
Did you sign off on the investigator going?
I don't remember talking about that particular step with my team. I knew they were trying to see if they could check it out. That's a totally normal step. See if you can get somebody close to the person and see if they'll confirm what we heard from the Australians.
Yeah, I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but it would be a totally normal step. Really, it would be bizarre if you didn't send secret agents to lie to staffers on a rival presidential campaign to say they would spill information while keeping the whole thing from their boss. It's totally normal. Does Comey think anyone believes that? Does he believe that? Of course he doesn't believe it. The Soviet Union didn't expect people to believe its propaganda, just to submit to it. Comey's from that school. Everyone knows it's terrifying that the Obama people sent spies on their political opponents. Jim Comey says it's normal, and CNN backs him up. So be quiet. If you don't agree with that, you're the enemy.
Whew. They start to make little compromises to stay on the team, echo his words, use the term spying, talk about collusion, or just be silent, thinking that's what I need to do to survive. And in the process, he has eaten their soul. They're lost.
So ignore the obvious. Agree with me, or you have no soul. Who talks like that? The sort of person who will say or do absolutely anything for power. A scary person talks like that. Not long ago, Jim Comey is one of the most powerful men in the world. He could investigate you or anyone else at will. He could ruin lives if he wanted, and sometimes he did. How did a person like that ascend to a position of such authority in our government? What kind of system would promote a man like that? What kind of media would cover for him? Those are the questions we ought to be asking tonight. If there was one Jim Comey in the federal government, that means there are probably many others, and that should concern us. Eli Lake is a Bloomberg opinion columnist, and he joins us tonight. Eli, thanks very much for coming on. So when you hear the former director of the FBI say it's totally conventional what we did, totally normal.
Oh, God. This poor dude. I don't think he signed up for this interview. He's not going to defend. He can't defend that. Will he? Will he defend this?
To send not one, but two investigators into a rival campaign without telling the candidate. Does that sound right?
No, it was a slippery answer, because what he was saying is that it's normal if we get a lead to investigate it. If no one would argue that, really. But the issue here is that not only was there a dangle, it appears, with some of these Trump campaign people, and that there were efforts to try to get them to acknowledge things with not one but two people who were, basically informing for the FBI or spying for the FBI. But once Trump wins the election, the existence of the counterintelligence probe is then leaked and becomes a political weapon that becomes this cloud that hangs over the Trump presidency for more than its first 2 years. And that there is a clear-cut case of surveillance and intelligence abuse of power. And it's the one thing that, I'd like to see what Comey thinks of that, which is to say that how in the world did the New York Times get on literally, I think the night of the inauguration or the night before, the story of the existing counterintelligence investigation.
Which is not supposed to leak for good reason. I mean, if you have a case that a U.S. citizen has committed a crime, bring the case before a grand jury, indict him, show him guilty.
That's exactly right.
But leaking an investigation that hasn't proved anything.
And that was only the first of several leaks, as we know, that were, either gleaned from sensitive surveillance, such as the Mike Flynn conversations with the Russian ambassador during the transition, or the existence of the FISA warrant, or the surveillance warrant on Carter Page. Things like that, because Carter Page doesn't have a lawyer in that process, should never ever be leaked. There's a reason it's got to kind of be, we have to trust a secret court to approve it. It's for, in part, the protection of the individuals, but it's also for the integrity of the investigation itself. So if the press is getting these I as a journalist, if someone gave it to me, it's a hell of a story. But if you're getting that, you're also in some ways compromising the counterintelligence investigation. So all of it is a bit weird that Comey would say, oh, there's nothing to see here, it's totally normal. And it just seems that he's really just buffing his image at this point.
It does seem that. And thank you. I don't think of you as a partisan. I just needed some perspective on that because it was Orwellian. Eli Lake, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Michael Tracy is an independent journalist. He joins us tonight. Michael Tracy, if there's one thing as a journalist you want to be on guard against, it's overreach by secretive government agencies, right? I mean, shouldn't we be deeply skeptical always, no matter what your politics, of FBI spying or CIA spying or NSA spying on American citizens?
I think it's just so crucial to underscore that the actions we already know that the FBI and to some extent the CIA and perhaps even the NSA undertook all constituted a massive encroachment by these federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies into the domestic political affairs of the United States. And if that was so very normal, as James Comey insists, can he please provide a precedent in U.S. history where something akin to that took place? Because I've looked and I haven't found it, and the term normalcy implies that this is just sort of like a routine event, right? And one thing that I try to implore to my progressive friends who tend to brush this issue aside and don't particularly care about it is, okay, so are you telling me that if the Trump administration were to send a spy or even a series of spies to, I don't know,
he's really just buffing his image at this point.
It does seem that. And thank you. I don't think of you as a partisan. I just needed some perspective on that because it was Orwellian. Eli Lake, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Michael
Tracy is an independent journalist. He joins us tonight. Michael Tracy, if there's one thing as a journalist you want to be on guard against, it's overreach by secretive government agencies, right? I mean, shouldn't we be deeply skeptical always, no matter what your politics, of FBI spying or CIA spying or NSA spying on American citizens?
I think it's just so crucial to underscore that the actions we already know that the FBI and to some extent the CIA and perhaps even the NSA undertook all constituted a massive encroachment by these federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies into the domestic political affairs of the United States. And if that was so very normal, as James Comey insists, can he please provide a precedent in U.S. history where something akin to that took place? Because I've looked and I haven't found it. And in massive encroachment, that the actions we already know that the FBI and to some extent the CIA and perhaps even the NSA undertook all constituted a massive encroachment by these federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies into the domestic political affairs of the United States. And if that was so very normal, as James Comey insists, can he please provide a precedent in U.S. history where something akin to that took place? Because I've looked and I haven't found it, and the term normalcy implies that this is just sort of like a routine event, right? And one thing that I try to implore to my progressive friends who tend to brush this issue aside and don't particularly care about it is, okay, so are you telling me that if the Trump administration were to send a spy or even a series of spies to, I don't know, go and try to entrap a campaign official associated with the Bernie Sanders campaign? Are you saying you'll just be content with that and you just won't pay it much mind? I don't think so, but that's the kind of thing that happens when this occurs with rival candidates that you don't like. A precedent gets enshrined that then can be used for other purposes down the road.
Exactly. And I just want to be absolutely clear on this point because I think it's
Area, I'm helping some Horde people. I could have killed them both, actually, but I didn't because I'm nice.
And this thought occurred to me today, but I ran out of time. But you've actually run it down. There is no precedent for this in modern American history.
Well, look, I mean, the FBI and the CIA are very secretive institutions, so there might be something that I personally didn't come across, which sheds light on whether something like this happened, I don't know, in the Truman administration or something. But I'm not aware of it. Please, if you're out there, let me know, because I want to hear about it. The thing is, all the craziness around this issue and the Democrats failing to even evince a scintilla of curiosity about it is all because they're just trying to continue the collusion conspiracy by another name. That's why they were freaking out about Bill Barr. That's why they don't want to acknowledge the impending IG report from the Department of Justice. They're in this wormhole that they've been psychologically and professionally invested in for years, and they can't extricate themselves from it, and it's really sad and pathetic to watch.
And it's hurting so many institutions that we're going to need when the Trump era is over, I would argue. Michael Tracey, thank you for that perspective.
Okay.
So this era will end at a point the FBI will still exist. At that point, it'll be clear what kind of damage has done to that institution. We'd like to get some sense of it now. We're joined by former FBI Deputy Assistant Director Danny Coulson. Mr. Coulson, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
As someone who devoted a lot of his life to the FBI, how do you feel watching the former director behave like that on television?
It's absolutely disgusting. I was only there for 31 years, so I have some sense of the FBI. And currently, to see him say that this is normal, this is not normal. There are certain guidelines and principles that we follow. You have to have a preliminary investigation and then a full investigation. But the real problem here, Tucker, is that this case didn't start with an FBI field office. It started basically on the 7th floor of the FBI. And when it's done by a field office like Iran-Contra or like Watergate, you have checks and balances at the very bottom level. And these cases will never get to headquarters. A good commander, and I was a commander for a long time, and this came across my desk, especially the FISA application, I would have done that about 5 minutes. We're not approving this. It's unverified. It's salacious. And I think the question is here, if it was, and Comey knew it was, why would we have the audacity to walk that to the FISA court and give it as something that we would be the basis for taking over a Fourth Amendment issue and getting a search warrant? So it's not common. It's aggravating to those of us who are there. I still do a lot of work for the FBI. They're all thinking, where did these guys go to our academy? Don't you know the rules here? And clearly they did and ignored them. And I think that's what really upsets us all.
Shade.
Well, yeah, I mean, what a tragedy for people who are serving the FBI, special agents serving there right now, who are watching their integrity impugned by this lunatic.
Absolutely. And I think, remember this, we take a lot of pride in credibility.
Yes.
People talk to us because of our credibility and our ability to follow the law and to follow the Constitution. And these guys just jumped right over it. And it's maybe this is too strong, but I'm going to say it. It's disgusting to see what the director of the FBI now says. Also, this is troubling, that the head lawyer for the FBI finds no problem with what happened even now. In retrospect, he doesn't have a problem with it. So I think that tells the mentality of the people under James Comey's watch on the 7th floor.
It's distressing. I agree completely. Mr. Coulson, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Tiger. It's always a pleasure.
A pro-life campus activist assaulted on video by the left for her views. That's next.
Oh, no.
Us tonight. Carly?
Hey, Tucker, how are you? The debate over a woman's right to choose versus her baby's right to live has always been controversial, but now it's grown violent. A string of attacks on pro-life activists have taken place in recent weeks. In April, pro-life group Created Equal was holding a peaceful demonstration at UNC Chapel Hill, but it was disrupted when a 19-year-old pro-choice student took issue with the group's signs and attacked.
No, we're gonna get a downpour soon. It's gonna come down in buckets.
Yep.
Yes.
This here?
Yeah. Ma'am, don't do that. Please. Please.
Terrible person.
Please.
You're a terrible person.
You just call the cops.
Not okay.
Can you call the cops?
This is not okay.
Ma'am, calm down. There's
This
no
is
reason.
not okay. Shut the up right now.
I'm at the pit. There's a woman that just punched my friend 4 or 5 times. She assaulted him.
You're not an innocent human being. You're a terrible person.
Campus police arresting Jillian Ward and charging her with misdemeanor assault. But this isn't just happening on liberal college campuses.
Wow.
Last March, an 85-year-old pro-life man was assaulted outside a Planned Parenthood in San Francisco. Disturbing footage shows his attacker throw his bicycle and repeatedly kick him. After the incident, the 85-year-old reportedly went back to Planned Parenthood to pray, but this time with bruises. And then there is Pennsylvania State Representative Brian Sims, who heckled an elderly woman outside a Philadelphia Planned Parenthood.
He did.
The incident was caught on camera, but this time by Sims himself, who proudly posted it to social media. In a previous encounter, Sims recorded himself harassing a mother and her teenage daughters, and even offered his social media viewers $100 to identify them. But that situation backfiring as a group of 1,000 pro-life supporters gathered outside Sims' local Planned Parenthood today. Meantime, rhetoric among pro-choice lawmakers has become increasingly extreme. Alabama State Representative John Rogers created waves this week by saying, quote, "Some kids are unwanted, so you kill them now or kill them later." Tucker?
Carly, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Well, as you just heard, hateful attacks in the pro-life movement are now normal. We just heard about what happened in downtown Philadelphia with Pennsylvania Representative Brian Sims. Here's part of it.
Hi, everyone. Representative Brian Sims here, and I am outside the Planned Parenthood. A bunch of pseudo-Christian protesters who've been out here shaming young girls for being here. And so here's the deal. I've got $100 to anybody who will identify any of these three.
So we're
I'm going to
actually
donate to
just
Planned
praying for the
Parenthood.
babies.
I'm going to donate to Planned Parenthood. So look, a bunch of white people standing out in front of a Planned Parenthood, shaming people. There's nothing Christian about what you're doing.
Well, today, pro-life activists held a large-scale rally outside that same Planned Parenthood in Philadelphia in response to Sims's behavior. Abby Johnson is a former Planned Parenthood clinic director, now a pro-life activist. Her story was told in the recent film Unplanned. Abby Johnson joins us tonight. Abby, thanks very much for coming on. So is it our imagination, or is the reaction to anti-abortion activism, including prayer, turning violent?
It is. It's becoming increasingly violent, and I think one of the reasons is because people in their own party, the Democratic Party, are not willing to come out and talk about this behavior, condemn this behavior. Nobody from the National Organization for Women, who are supposed to stand up for women, nobody's coming out and condemning this behavior. And so it just sort of goes unchecked, and it goes unnoticed and without consequences. And you know, I'm here to say, along with 1,000 other pro-lifers who were there today, to say this is enough. We've had enough. We're not going to be bullied. We're not going to be harassed. We're out there. This is within our First Amendment right to do so.
What do you think is what do you think is driving this? These are people who are arguing for abortion, in some cases post-viability, late-term abortion. Not only they're not ashamed of that position, but they want to hurt anyone who disagrees. Why do you think? Where does that come from? That impulse?
Well, so I think it's a couple things. I think right now, abortion supporters they're feeling the heat, they're feeling the pressure. We've got these heartbeat bills being signed all across the country. We have pro-life measures taking place in many, many different states. I think that now we have a Supreme Court that's being set up to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I think in some ways it's a response to the sort of impending doom that they feel that Roe might one day actually be overturned. But I think also, you know, we've got over 60 million abortions on the books recorded since Roe was passed in 1973. And, you know, we're dealing with a group of people who are very wounded. They're very hurt. And they need to really justify their own actions. And a lot of times that hurt comes across as anger, and they just don't see the difference.
I think that's exactly right. When you know you're wrong, that's when you're the maddest. That's how I am. I think that's how most people are. It's sad. Abby, thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Well, the left has suddenly decided that people's tax returns, which were private, are now fair game for politics. So what other private information ought to be available to everyone? Why not your medical records? We'll ask a lawmaker from New York State that question after the break. On Donald Trump's taxes from 30 years ago. That information showed that Trump lost money. People in the network are excited about this.
This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. Are you listening? The President of the United States is a fraud and a con man.
You were saying he's a sociopath.
Without any question.
A con? All of it?
All of it was a con. You know, this person is a walking fraud.
He calls people losers, and he has such disdain, and yet he was literally the biggest loser in the country.
So if you remember the 90s, you might recall that Trump's business problems were a big news story. They were real. Trump wrote a book about them. Don't tell Don Lemon. He was shocked.
You know what they say about gambling, casino gambling, right? The house always wins? Well, not always. Not if it's a Trump casino. Come on. Who loses money at a casino except for the person gambling, not the owner?
Except for all the other casinos closing.
Because I'm good enough.
Thanks for the context.
Smart enough. And doggone. People love me.
Fucking liar. Fucking piece of shit liar.
What are the odds that Don Lemon says that in the mirror every morning? Hi. Joe Concha writes about media for The Hill, and he joins us tonight. Joe, great to see you tonight. So they basically discovered that Trump lost a ton of money in the 90s, which anyone who was alive then knew because it was a major story, but this was news because why?
Why? Because it was presented as recycled news. I don't like to use the term fake news, Tucker, but in this case, you could have read Donald Trump's book from 2007, The Art of the Comeback. You could have read any of the New York tabloids. The New York Daily News, New York Post talked about the Trump slump for those years between 1985 1994. You could have watched The Apprentice, Season 1, Episode 1, the very first segment. Donald Trump literally says on video that he lost billions of dollars, he was billions in debt, and he was able to come back. So to keep all of that out of reporting, if we want to call this even reporting, that is the bias of omission. We've talked about that before, and that is the worst kind of bias, because if you were, say, younger, or you didn't follow Donald Trump, or you live out of the bubble and you're taking care of your kids every day and you're working hard and you come home and you hear this story about Trump losing billions back at that time, and you don't get the other side of the story, which is he was very transparent about it on TV, on books. You're being sold a bill of goods here that this is new revelation when it was anything but new, Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, this was his whole story, right? I mean, he bragged about it endlessly. Once was lost, now I'm found. This was his redemption story. Did you hear anybody covering this pause for a moment to say, a little weird that we're looking at private financial information that's supposed to be proprietary? I mean, no one is supposed to have this information. Did anyone say that? Kind of a violation of privacy, no?
No. Tucker, no one does, because it's a means to an end, right? I remember I was on your show and we talked about the Access Hollywood tape, and everybody concentrated, and rightly so, the contents of it. But then there was another part of that story, which is how exactly did that tape get out of NBC and into the hands of the Washington Post 2 days before a presidential debate, a major one, 3 weeks before an election? No one bothered to look into that, and no one's going to bother to look into the fact that this was leaked by somebody, confidential information, and it got into the hands of the New York Times, and obviously was spread everywhere. And by the way, and I get that Don Lemon, he's on at night, and there are a lot of opinions at night, but he's still billed as an anchor. And for him to talk that way and act that way, and I've been on Don's show, and he's a great guy in person, but I can never picture Brett Baer or Chris Wallace or Jeff Glor or David Muir ever acting like that, and they're anchors also. So you wonder why CNN struggles, and you want to hear about struggles, Tucker. So in cable news, they rank, obviously, all the shows by ratings. And you got to get down to number 36 out of Fox and MSNBC and CNN, number 36 to find the highest rated CNN show. In other words, the other 35 are the other two networks. So they have to understand they're alienating their viewers by acting like children on the air, but they're not doing it. I don't understand why when the results are so horrible from a business perspective.
Because it's a political mission. I think that's it. Joe Concha, great to see you tonight. Thank you for that.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. Well, New York State Senate has approved a bill that, if it becomes law, would make it easier for Congress to request and then publish the president's state tax returns. So while we're going full authoritarian, what else should be fair game? Andrew Cuomo's text messages, his internet search history, his porn habits? Why not? To help figure that out, we're joined now by New York Democratic State Senator Brian Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin, thanks very much for coming on.
Anytime, Tucker.
So it's a sincere question. You want to see Trump's tax returns? Whatever. If they come out, I'll read them. That's fine. But it's bigger than just Trump, right? I mean,
yeah, of course. I mean, the bill.
Don't we have? Is there anything that should be private?
Well, first of all, as you know, on the federal level since 1924, the Ways and Means Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, and the Joint Committee on Taxation, they can request anyone's federal returns. All we're saying is, if they want state returns, you're able to let you have that in New York. So
where are
regardless
yours?
Whether it's Trump, well, listen, if either the Senate Finance Chair, or the Ways and Means Chair, or the Joint Committee on Taxation Chair wants mine, they can request it, and it will. And
but why don't you just release them? Well, but hold on, wait. Why don't you just release them?
Why doesn't Trump just release his? I mean,
I don't know. He doesn't want to. I mean, I'd like to see him. I agree, but you're trying.
I'm not the president of the United States,
hold on,
Tucker.
You're forcing it. Okay.
We're not forcing anything. We're saying if there's a specified and legitimate legislative purpose that the Congress presents to the state.
Legislative. I mean, that's just look. This is total
war.
There
are investigations that are going on. You know, all the indictments are going on. Tucker, come on.
This is total war. They want to destroy a guy politically. That's fine. You don't like Trump. You hate Trump. Whatever it takes.
Tucker, it will apply to both sides. It will apply to Democrats or Republicans. The Senate Chair of Finance can request. Tucker.
Well, then how about medical records?
But that's not what this bill is about. Right now,
I know that's not what the bill's about. I'm talking about the principle. Hold on, wait. But why is it different from the principle? You want to destroy somebody because you don't like him.
We don't want to destroy anybody.
Obviously you do.
We want to facilitate investigations if they're requested. Tucker, but Tucker, I'm open to other things.
You don't want to help ICE keep the borders secure, right? It's a sanctuary state, but you're going to help the Congress pull a guy's tax returns. Because you're facilitating an investigation?
Tucker,
I mean, just be honest.
They're able to pull the federal returns now. It's just that Mnuchin refuses to give Trump's. I mean, in this specific case. But we're just saying you could do what you do with the federal level, you can do with the state level. That's what we're saying, Tucker.
Are you okay with, so like the New York Times piece the other day had information from 10 years of Trump's tax returns. That's supposed to be private information.
That shouldn't have been leaked. I agree. That should not have been leaked. That's not what this bill is about. So the bill that we passed.
But I wonder, is anybody going to stop lying just for like 10 seconds in the last 2 years? Just 10 seconds. And just be honest and say, I don't like the guy. I want to destroy him. I'll do whatever it takes. I see that as my job. And if it means releasing his tax returns against his wishes, I will do that. Why don't you just say that?
Tucker, there's congressional oversight over the executive branch. If the Congress asks
But why? What's the predicate for all this oversight all of a sudden?
And so all we're saying is we want to follow what the federal laws are.
You just want to follow the law, but not for immigration. Are you for the fact it's a sanctuary state, by the way? Just wondering.
Am I for what?
The fact New York's a sanctuary state. Do you think that New York should help the feds enforce immigration law?
I feel that the Fed should be a sanctuary state. I mean, New York should be a sanctuary state.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you have no principles at all. I just wanted to.
No, I do have principles. I just believe that we should.
No principles. No principles. No principles. Okay.
Follow the law. Tell Steve Mnuchin to follow the law and provide the tax returns that Congress is asking for, and then we wouldn't have a problem.
Well, you're nice to come on the show. I do appreciate that.
Anytime, Tucker.
So what are the plans of the Democratic presidential candidates for your guns if they win? We'll tell you after the break.
I'll take that geld.
You would need Cory Booker's permission to exercise your constitutional right. And of course, you know what comes next, bans and confiscation. Booker's already suggested he's open to banning all guns, period.
Would you ban guns? I am very much one that is against handguns. And I know in my urban environment, I see little to no need for guns at all. And I would, if I had the power to do so, I would.
It was 19 years ago, hasn't changed his views. Ryan Kleckner is a former military sniper, firearms attorney, and columnist for The Federalist. He joins us tonight. Ryan, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on again, Tucker.
Going to ask you questions about the point of view of these different candidates, but I think we all know that basically they're all for gun confiscation. They're not hardly hiding it. My question is a bigger one for you. I can't resist. What would happen if they tried that? What would happen to the country? How reckless a move would that be?
Wow.
Seriously.
I didn't expect that question. Yeah, that would be incredibly reckless. I'm actually more shocked that they're coming out and saying it now, because we've heard so long, we're not coming to take your guns, don't worry about us, we're not coming to take your guns. And now we're actually hearing comments like, they'd give us a reasonable amount of time to turn our guns in before they put us in jail. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing, it's modern America, what do you need a gun for? The government's not going to hurt you. Now, turn in that gun before I make the government come and forcibly take it from you.
Exactly. Or they call it a buyback, which suggests that they owned it in the first place. How is it a buyback? They never owned my guns.
Interesting point. Yeah, they sure didn't. Yeah, so in a weird way, I'll say something unexpected. I applaud that they want to do something about gun violence. That's good. We all should want to do something. Matter of fact, we should all want to do something about all violence. See, that's the problem. They focus on gun violence because it's a political talking point for them. I mean, Kamala Harris's tweet had a picture of an AR-15 in there, and we know that a tiny, tiny fraction of all gun violence happens with any rifle, let alone an AR-15. I mean, the FBI stats show that hammers are used in more violent crimes than any type of rifle. I think they have something in for this firearm, and although they want to help school safety,
I really want an AR-15
I get it.
now.
By focusing on banning guns, not only do gun bans not work, but they make us less safe. You want to guarantee a place is going to have a shooting? Make it gun-free. Places where guns are allowed aren't attacked like this.
But they would never make their own offices gun-free under any circumstances. I mean, they're surrounded by armed bodyguards.
Absolutely right. The same thing as they're surrounded by fences and walls when they call for no wall. It's a very hypocritical point, absolutely. I'm very surprised to hear that they're coming out. I mean, Eric Swalwell and Cory Booker are actually trying to play a game of one-upsmanship here on who can infringe on more rights. When we're calling for IDs, for permission to get a gun, aren't these the same people that are against IDs for voting? It just makes no sense.
I have trouble believing that many people would obey, honestly. But, you know, I hope we never find out. Ryan Kleckner, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on again.
It's Friday. Our favorite former New York City cop will be here. Dan Bongino's news explosion after the break.
Most explosive story of the week.
Blowing up, especially Dan Bongino's news explosion, our favorite former Secret Service agent, New York City cop, here to rank the top 3 stories of the past week. Dan Bongino joins us tonight. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Tucker, how are you? I'm always happy to be here. This is my favorite segment of the week, so let's get right to it. Most explosive story of the week, numero tres, number 3. Joe Biden discovers the money fairy and wants to give health care to people in the country illegally. Tucker, have you heard this one? This one's fascinating. Yeah, so, Tucker, when you factor out the United States, the world has 7 billion people. Of course, there's no rate-limiting factor to providing health care for everyone. So how we're going to afford that, I have no idea. But don't worry, Tucker. Joe Biden will figure it out in conjunction with the money fairy. He's got this. I don't
Can't wait to see the money fairy.
Crazy how that happens. All right, explosive story number 2 of the week. China gets a taste of its own medicine. President Trump hammers China back with 25% tariffs. You know, Tucker, I am a free trader. You know, I know you probably are too, but China's not trading fairly. You know, we thought when they joined the WTO, they would handle themselves a little differently, more prosperity, more freedom. That's not what happened. It's become the world's largest surveillance state. And, you know, in my opinion, I'm a free trader again, but good for President Trump for fighting back. This is a very important story.
Agree with that.
All right. This is big. This is the gold medal of stories this week. I have to spend a little time on this one. This is critical. Jerry Nadler. Jerry Nadler, who's competing with Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell.
That was kind of boring.
What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I've been getting asked a ton over the last 5 or so months, or however long I've been streaming on YouTube, why I don't like Twitch. And please don't misinterpret this as me standing up for YouTube. This is a streamer named Pink Sparkles. She even self-admits to being a titty streamer, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Report stream. Lulz. You know what those reports.
Why is there a side shot?
Twitch staff told me so. Just saying. You're just wasting your time.
Thank you, Gal Gadoosh, for being honest with all of us here. This stream has a dedicated ass cam and vagina cam. I don't know how you could possibly defend this not being overly sexual. Even she seems to realize it is, but knows that there's not going to be any repercussions because Twitch staff likes her and they jerk off to her streams. I've mentioned Hassan before because he's the most famous example of the Twitch staff favoritism. His old following list was nothing but titty streamers for the most part, so I imagine he had like 8 different monitors, each with a different titty stream up, just taking it all in and enjoying his masturbatorium. All of this that I've said, I really wouldn't have a problem with if they would enforce the rules fairly. Just to... I consider myself a man with a very refined palate, a man that has a taste for the finer things in this universe. Thus, I absolutely love internet squabbling. Oh, it makes my dick super big, hard, rock hard. But you guys already know that, because I talk about some internet drama shit on here, because I think it's fun. I think it's just a beautiful dumpster filled with dog shit diapers. It's just a really fun clash of overinflated internet egos going at one another for petty little differences. And the last 24 hours have been filled with it, which has filled my cock with blood, making it the biggest penis for the last 24 hours. Now, petty isn't exactly a good word to describe the first situation, which is the Pro Jared thing. Pro Jared, or as I now call him, Pro Penis, was a YouTuber who made long-form turbo elite gamer content, euphoric atheism gamer videos. I never much cared for them, wasn't my cup of tea. But what came to light yesterday is he was cheating on his wife with a girl named Holly for a long time. Holly was the wife of Ross O'Donovan, who's also a friend of the official podcast, and it was a really shitty situation. Not only was he cheating on his wife, but he was sending dick pics to his fans, and the dick pics all surfaced all at once, so it was like this giant fucking X-Men scene where everyone on Twitter jacked into Professor X's Cerebro, and all they were seeing in every comment was Pro Jared's penis. And unfortunately, his dick was massive. Massive is being exaggeratory, of course. His dick wasn't massive. It's not like he was packing like a fucking glory hammer or anything. But he had a bigger dick than you would expect someone that looks like him to have. Because he's super skinny and his torso is super odd looking. It's really shaped weird. It looks like a block of sour cream that's left out in the sun and it's slowly melting down. But there's no definition or anything on his torso. Not that I'm saying every guy needs to be muscular, but on every guy you can see like maybe collarbones and stuff. You can see something under the skin. With Pro Jared, it just looks like skin with some nipples on it, nothing else. There's like nothing under the skin except water. It's like an anime artist got lazy when drawing their character shirtless, so they just drew the outline of what a torso would look like and never filled it in. And yet somehow this man is packing some fat schmeat. Again, exaggeratory. But he's sending dick pics and stuff, and the poses he has in his dick pics that surfaced is the goofiest shit ever. Like, he'll have his legs thrown over his head and his cock in his hand, and he's smiling at the camera. And it's fucking silly. It's downright unreal. It's like as if someone planned to make him look like the weirdest fucking odd dick pic sender in the world.
Well, he took him. It's his fault.
All this stuff came out about him yesterday. He's lost 150,000 subs and counting, which he absolutely deserves, and more. If you're watching this, Pro Penis, and I know you're not, you've already turned off of anything internet related. You probably already fucking canceled your Verizon Fios, and now you're just looking at your dick in the mirror, slowly rubbing gluten-free coconut oil on it. But anyway, he's a horrible person, deserves all of the shit he's getting, and his dick pics are some of the goofiest shit in the world, and I don't know how he's ever gonna come back on the internet in any capacity. There's a lot more to the story, but I just want to touch on that shit and use this as a PSA. Dick pics are never gonna go well for you. And not just shitty YouTubers that shouldn't send dick pics. All of you out there should not send dick pics no matter what. They just don't look good. There's something deeply embedded in human DNA to be repulsed by just a picture of a penis. And don't think you can get clever like Pro Penis did and kind of sneak your head in there. Because in some of his dick pics, he kind of like pushes his head down there and gets one of these, like a little shy little look in the camera, kind of like the toasty guy from Mortal Kombat popping in, but for the dick pic. It's dumb. No matter what, a picture of a penis just looks bad. And I've only ever taken one dick pic in my life, and I immediately regretted it. I actually used a very similar technique, angle, to one of Pro Jared's.
Oh, God.
I had my legs kind of lifted up towards my chest, and I was laying on my dorm room bed with my cock kind of facing up at me, and I took the picture from my knees looking up, and it looked like my dick was kind of coming at me like an alien. It just looked like this outstretched piece of gum that looked awful, and I immediately deleted it because I knew it wouldn't go well. No one wants to see that. It was to my girlfriend. It was not like I was sending it to a stranger over Snapchat like he did, but I knew she would probably break up with me if I sent it, and it just doesn't look good. Dick pics will never look good, and that's the takeaway from all of this. And also, don't cheat on anyone. That's also a big takeaway here. Moving on to the next thing, James Charles. I don't know much about James Charles. I don't keep up with James Charles, but a girl named Tati, a YouTuber, just released this huge 43-minute fucking documentary about why she's not his friend anymore and why they're on bad terms, and how James Charles has lost over 250,000 subs. James Charles, big makeup guy, big YouTuber, and big asshole apparently. I couldn't watch all of her 43 minutes. It was too soft for me, and that's why I'm even talking about this, because I love when YouTubers call each other out, but they're so fucking soft about it. And this is the softest I've seen someone go. It's just too passive. There's not enough insults flying. She doesn't even say fuck a single time when I was watching it. Maybe I missed it, zoned out, very possible, but get mean. If you're going to call out a YouTuber for being an asshole, get mean about it. I don't want to hear all this passive-aggressive, oh, he's such a good guy, you know, he might just got a big old ego. No, just say, James Charles has a huge fucking ego and he's a huge douchebag. Say it. That's what I want to hear from call-out videos. I want people to go hard, not soft. So I couldn't sit through all 43 minutes because it was boring. But he's apparently just not a nice guy and he's got a huge ego, and I have to wonder who the fuck is surprised by that. I don't keep up with James Charles, but everything I've ever seen from him is either him bragging or him threatening to use his impressive amount of money to bring lawyers down on Twitter arguments. Like, he just seems like an asshole. I don't know why everyone's all surprised. Like, Jesus, I guess James Charles isn't that nice. Maybe when he was flexing his $10,000 Gucci condom on Instagram, he wasn't being a nice guy about it. Fuck. Now everyone's all unsubscribing because of this. He's been a big ego asshole, even from people on the outside that don't keep up with him. It's pretty obvious. He thinks he's like the Jesus Christ of makeup from everything I've seen. So, I mean, it's great that he's going down kind of hard as well. He's probably not going to take a huge hit. He's probably still going to be fine. But it's nice to have a big call-out video like that. But go harder next time, alright? Now, to all of you who have unsubbed from Pro Jared and James Charles, in total, that's about 400,000 of you as of making this video and the recent number checks. All 400,000 of you should come subscribe to me, or follow me on twitch.tv/moistcritical. I can be your new home. I know fuck all about makeup, but I can learn. I know not to send dick pics, so you won't have to worry about getting a dick pic from me unwarranted. Just so please, come. I'll coddle you. I'll keep you.
So when we're saying which one is the best, because a lot of them are good for different reasons. Like, you can't really compare a character like Tywin to a character like Jon.
That is true. I don't know. Chat, what are your ideas? What do we do? Like, character... What does it even mean, a character at the best? Like, the most complicated... Because it's going to be too subjective to the point where you say interesting character. Well, we could just do that and see if we come to a relative agreement. Like a combo of interesting and well-written. Because, like Gio Mormont, there's nothing wrong with him. He hasn't been written badly in any way, shape, or form, but he's not too complicated. He's sort of just Lord Commander and he fights for good things and then gets backstabbed. It's like, he's not that interesting. He's fine.
Yeah.
But then there's characters that are super interesting, like Tyrion, but they're just fucked in the later seasons to the point where he's just an idiot. And you're like, okay.
In which case, we're just gonna have to go by Season 2 and Season 3 Tyrion.
Yeah, but we gotta... I think we have to consider all seasons. We're season ranks, we can't do like a season... Like, one of these for every
If
season.
we just pretend that seasons 4, 5, 6, or no, 5, 6, 7, and 8 didn't happen.
Like, should we just figure this out as we go along? So, so Brandon Stark, where does he go?
Oh, way toward the bottom.
Yeah, I know. He, especially in his current state. He's not even a character in his current state.
What is he, aside from king?
He says things that are like, ooh, that a thing that was strange. Look at that. Check that out. What could that
I'm
mean?
even trying to think of what he's done in, like, the earlier seasons, and I can't think of anything aside from getting pushed out a window and then immediately becoming a nothing character.
Was he ever a character? I mean, he's sort of a character.
I mean, there was something there when he was like a kid climbing the walls of Winterfell, and then that ended immediately.
And when Theon was like, I've taken Winterfell, and he's like, no, you won't. You'll never take it. And even if you try, we'll throw you out. Like, he was like a mini Stark.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the character's name, but the dude that Theon beheads. Again, that's not really based upon the
guy with the crazy sideburns.
Yeah. I feel like I should know this, especially since the books are...
Oh, Castellan... Something Castellan, I think? Or Castell?
Roderick?
Yeah, Roderick
Roderick
Cassell.
Cassell,
Cassell, that's the one.
Sir Roderick.
Rolric, as fucking Tyrion calls him, I think. Rolric, I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy with F tier. Like, he's almost worthless. He's very close to worthless. That's awkward. The next one is fucking Tyrion.
Oh.
Where do you go right now? Like, the immediate...
Fuck, because I want to think just Tyrion season 2, but then I have to take into account
This is the
Tyrion
thing, he would be S
after.
tier. Like, I fucking love him in season 1 and 2. And then 3 and 4, he's struggling to, like, stay afloat. Which is interesting, and then he, you know, loses his mind. But, like, the other half of Game of Thrones, he's just fucking wobbling around. Not really doing anything. Does that put him at, like, a B or a C?
I want to go a C to be safe.
How does chat feel about this? We got A's, B's, D's, B. You're welcome all to vote. You'll be able to sway me and Wolf's perspective, because you know that by the time we finish this, this will be the official, definitive take that everyone in the planet will adopt. You guys know this could never change. Oh, most people are saying B's then. What do you reckon, Wolf? Did you say C to be safe?
What the fuck have you guys done? We open with them showing us that their cavalry is on the front line? What the fuck? Why? Do you know what a cavalry is for? Where the fuck did Melisandre come from? She emerged from the fucking enemy territory? What the fuck? Weren't you supposed to be in Volantis? The fuck are you here? Why don't you have bonfires across the fucking battlefield? Why haven't you lit them already? Your enemy is literally fucking allergic to fire. Why aren't your defenses literally fucking stacked? You have literal thousands of men. Make some goddamn 10-foot trenches. Fuck it, make a moat. Make something more than a collection of sticks that amounts to fuck all. So she can actually activate fire at a distance at will. Because there's a lot of fucking uses I can imagine for that shit. And so the Dothraki charge. Wait, what? You're sending your entire cavalry, which looks to be in the fucking thousands, into a pitch-black zombie-infested abyss. Fucking miles away from any goddamn support. What the hell are you doing? You should be using them to flank later once the dead have actually engaged. This is a fucking cavalry. You're firing trebuchets now as well? Isn't this more reason to not send your fucking cavalry? Wait, why the fuck aren't your trebuchets behind the castle walls, or at the very least behind the front fucking lines? Did the Dothraki honestly fucking agree to be slaughtered as an opening suicidal wave? Are you kidding? Just because they fight in open fields on horseback does not mean they are well suited to blindly walk into an army of thousands. This move would have provided more soldiers for the undead army than it would have taken, assuming the entire fucking cavalry is dead. Oh, They are. The entire fucking cavalry is dead. Rip the Dothraki faction, I guess. Their visit to Westeros may have been unprecedented, but it's also fucking over because nobody here has any clue what they're fucking doing. I guess it was worth it for the fucking visual, right? And now, let's take a look back at the front line. What do we see? Are you taking the fucking piss? Your first line of defense are fucking trebuchets, and you're not even firing them. You're supposed to protect these things, you fucking retards. You literally fired them about 2 times each. 2 fucking times, and now they're worthless. Fuck you. What the fuck? The army of the dead have arrived and are now washing over people? How is that even logistically a thing? How do you create a tidal wave of people? You would just fall the fuck over and stop. What the fuck? Yeah, I guess that's the thing now, which means the good guys are just straight up dead. A literal fucking tidal wave of undead are washing over them. I guess it was worth it for the fucking visual, right? Jaime, Tormund, Sam, Ed, and Brienne, they're all on the front fucking line. They're dead. A swarm of bodies are on top of them. They're dead. They're fucking dead. Fuck you, show. Oh, look, Brienne now has 9 of them on her. She's definitely dead. There's literally just 1 for each part of her body. She's so dead. Oh, Jaime killed 1, and now they're all gone. What the fuck? Suddenly Dragonfire to light up the whole fucking field? Why the fuck didn't you open with that, you dumb cunts? Your cavalry would have appreciated it, wouldn't they? They would actually have been able to fucking see if you had opened with Dragonfire. Ugh, Jesus Christ. All you fucking need is Jon sitting on the Godswood to cover Bran while Dany obliterates the entire fucking army, for fuck's sake. What the fuck? Jon is doing it with you guys as well. If you guys are gonna do it, then do it. Light the entire fucking army up. Just don't do 2 lines and then fuck off. What the? Look at this. 1 fucking line of fire does that. That's like 200 fucking zombies dead right there. But no, you just fuck off to attack the White Walkers, which fuck me. Are we not concerned about the ice spears that they throw anymore? Are we just happy to full frontal assault them? You know that armor for the dragon might have been a good idea considering the spears, right? Ah, fuck it. Apparently it's been decided off screen that this is a viable idea, so I have to ask, why didn't you go for the back line of zombies as an actual plan in the fucking first place? We already know that the White Walkers like to stay behind. We also know that you kill a shit ton of whites if you kill one of them. Oh, what the fuck? A blizzard is coming in now to defend the White Walkers. Why the fuck didn't they open with that like they did in Hardhome? Are you morons? Have the blizzard cover the entire place before you send your guys in. How the fuck is everyone so stupid? Oh, and as a result, Daenerys can't burn the army anymore because she can't see now. Why the fuck does it matter? Tell the dragons to go on fucking autopilot and destroy everything related to the dead anyway, for fuck's sake. The line that is created with the trenches being lit is arguably worse than the line that's created from 1 Dragonfire shot in general. Oh, Jaime has a white, suddenly jump on him. Oh, Tormund has a white, suddenly jump on him. Oh, Sam as well. I guess they're all done for. Oh wait, it was a fake out. Sam is fine. He was saved by Ed, and then Ed dies. Awesome. And Sam wilts in terror. Cool. I hate it. Oh, and we just cut away? That's it? We just cut away. What about all the other characters who were dying for the third time? What the fuck ever happened, right? So now everyone is retreating, and as a result, the entire fucking Unsullied army sacrificed themselves to ensure the retreat succeeds. Yes, the Dothraki and the Unsullied are almost wiped from the show because they were either sacrificed for no fucking reason or died trying to save those who were recovering from being sacrificed. What fucking wobbly dildo wrote this bullshit? It is so fucking hard to understand the stakes in this nightmare of an episode. At one point, they flooded the front line, and now we are calling a retreat when there's barely any zombies around. And once they call a retreat, the undead are absolutely flooding the shots again. What the fuck is going on? Make up your mind, for fuck's sake. So, instead of telling his Unsullied to retreat, and once they are mostly through, Grey Worm could close the trench trap, he just fucking closes it and dooms the remaining hundreds of his men to guaranteed death. Well fucking played. More soldiers for the undead army, I suppose. What was the point of having everyone outside the castle in the first fucking place if you're gonna retreat immediately, you fuck numpties? Also, as a result of the blizzard, which Jon was fully aware of as an ability of theirs, Daenerys cannot light the trench with her dragon. All she needs to do is get to the ground to be able able to see what's happening. Fucking perch yourself on the castle if you have to, instead of being fucking useless up there. Secondly, Jon is actually sitting next to the Godswood. Just have him fucking do it. Just signal Jon to go do it. He has a fucking dragon too. He's right over there. God fucking damn it. Like, look at this shit. He's literally right next to the trench once it's lit. Like, he could have done it from there. Fuck off. So then we get this hilarious set of shots where everyone is trying to light a fire, but every time they do, the fires die out or they get tackled by a random fucking zombie. Because of the way they shoot it and all the shaky cam, we have no idea how many there are or where they are. All they needed to do was have the trench soaked in oil or fuck anything flammable so that they have a backup plan in case the dragons can't do it. Because fuck me, just dropping a torch into that thing ain't gonna cut it for a while in this weather. I would like to remind you that this defense was planned by people like Varys, Tyrion, Jaime, Jorah, and the fucking Hound. What fucking nonsense. Then they decide that Melisandre can do it. She is a fire witch, I guess, so why the fuck not? She just agrees and slowly as fuck walks to—
No! Seriously! Why would you have your cavalry charge first?
her goal. I am not kidding, she may as well be crawling her way to the target, despite the fact that everyone is dying the longer she takes to get there. I also like the fact that she can apparently set Arrax on fire whether or not she's touching them individually, but she couldn't hold a fucking twig inside the castle and light up all of the wood at range because her powers make complete sense. But yeah, she actually manages to pull it off, and magically the entire trench lights up. What exactly are the limits of her fucking powers? Jesus Christ. The important thing is this does work. The zombies are stopped dead in their tracks, and it makes you wonder why the fuck they didn't have a bonfire perimeter that their entire army could sit the fuck behind to begin with, you wankers.
That'd be smart.
Bran decides to fuck off into a bunch of crows so that he can actually say hello to the Night King. Not sure what the fuck Bran is doing.
Production
here, but I'm sure it'll be
costs.
Explained. Back to the trench, and guess what? 5 minutes fucking later, the zombies decide it's probably worth moving again. So 5 zombies, count them, 5 fucking zombies out of the hundreds of thousands fall onto the trench, and it's fucking broken. They just pour right through it and continue the assault again. What the fuck was the point of this kind of defense? What worthless bullshit. Fire is only useful for as long as the zombie doesn't fall onto it. Are you kidding me? I thought the whole point was that fire is their counter, but as long as they die to it, it no longer works? Look at that shit. 3 fucking bodies and the fire's just stopping already. Fuck you. Why did they just stand there like fucking lemons for that 5 minutes anyway? Why wouldn't they just do this immediately? Well, my take would be that it's because they have forgotten, created, or combined rules all over the place this episode. These things were supposed to set on fire immediately when in contact with fire. We've seen it again and again. But when the story needs them to put out a fire, not only is that suddenly possible, but they also do it consistently with about 3 to 5 bodies. Where is the wave of zombies gone? Wouldn't it make way more sense as a way for them to get over this thing? Or is that dependent on the plot too? Fuck off. As a result of this, the zombies begin to assault the castle walls, and there's no defense beyond a few arrows and striking them with swords when they come over the sides. They don't use any projectiles through matriculations, no fire, no oil, no anything, and so the zombies manage to simply overrun the walls. I want to specify, by the way, having a drone-like force siege your castle in